now I just wanted to go over real fast, just sharpening it up. Really at this point, since when I did the bevel on the with the file, I actually got it pretty close to put both sides pretty close together here. So right now it's just like a very dull knife. So if you're familiar with knife sharpening, now pretty much you can just sharpen it up on a whetstone or on a diamond stone or something like that. I also have like a little 1-inch belt sander that I often use to sharpen up my my new knives, but since I didn't give you that tool and I don't want you to have to go out and buy that just for the purposes of sharpening, I'm just going to show you sharpening on this little Smith stone here. But there's not much to it. Just going to start on the coarse side, and really I'm just going to treat it like any other knife that I'd be sharpening. Usually I would find out where the bevel was, but since there's no secondary bevel on this knife yet, it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to kind of give it the average bevel on most any of my knives. It's going to take a little bit longer because, you know, there's no pre-established bevel, but just a few minutes and it should be good to go. So since there's no bevel, I don't really want to pull a burr off of just this one side right away. I want to go ahead and establish a bevel on both sides first. So I'm going to do a little bit on this side. Maybe 15 or 20 strokes. So I've got a start of a bevel on this side. I'm going to flip it over. Start a bevel over here. It's getting there. It's coming together. So it's rolling a burr on this side, not all the way, but kind of in the middle here and up to the tip, but down in here it's not yet rolling a burr. So I'm going to keep working it until we get that burr down the whole way. And I guess if you're not familiar with knife sharpening, you know, I'll explain that a little bit more. But really, when we have these two parts coming together, right? If the knife is, if the bevel is, if it's really dull, then you've got these two sides that are kind of separated, right? With like maybe a little bit of a rounded in the middle. And then when the knife is sharpened, you bring those two together, and they meet at some point. And when they meet, when you keep grinding on one side, what it does is it pushes a little burr of steel over that other side. And you can feel that with your fingers on the opposite side that you were just, you know, kind of grinding on. So I was grinding on this side like this, so I'm feeling back here and feeling that burr, and I can feel it. So when I feel the burr, I know that it's met up, right? So you never want to go to the fine side of the sharpener until you've got that burr, because if you go to the fine side and these two pieces are still separated and they're not together, then you're just kind of wasting your time. So So I just changed up techniques a little bit there just so that I could grind in here a little bit easier. This is one of the hardest parts of the knife to sharpen up, because when I put it on the stone, you can see that it pulls off really quickly. Like if you look up here, this part of the knife is actually getting drug across the entire stone. And in fact, if I'm coming at an angle, it's getting drug across a big section of stone, whereas down here it's really just getting drug right off almost immediately. So I was just kind of going in circles a little bit there to try and grind that down a little bit faster. You can use whatever kind of knife sharpener you like. I like the diamond stones, but you know, that's just because that's what I'm best at using. But if you're good with a whetstone or whatever, it doesn't matter. If you're just new, then try out a few different things. I personally don't really like other kinds of sharpeners, like the little rods or the pull-through sharpeners or anything like that. I just like a flat stone. Those other kind of sharpeners, I mean, maybe the rod sharpeners, I don't know how good those are, but I could never really get them to work very well. But with the pull-through sharpeners, you know, that's something that's fine to keep in your pack, you know, as a, you know, expedient knife sharpener, but it's not really good to keep sharpening your knife with those. And then one of the reasons is it's really common for your knife to get little chips in it, because remember that this edge is really fine, and it's easy for this edge to break off a little bit. And if you're using a pull-through, if you're using a sharpener like this, then it's not a big deal. Those just grind off when you're sharpening. If you're using a pull-through sharpener, every time it pulls through, it catches on those little nicks, and it actually makes them worse and worse and worse. And that'll never really go away using the pull-through sharpener. So I don't use pull-through sharpeners, but I do keep one in my backpack just in case I needed to touch up my knife in an emergency. But just because it's small and compact. And you know, with a knife like this, an 01 knife that is, you know, tempered properly, you don't need to sharpen it that often, and you just really need to touch it up. In fact, I hardly ever use the coarse side of my sharpener for my own knives, because usually I just sharpen them again before they get really dull. And if you do that, it just takes like a minute to get it sharp again. And then once it's sharp, you know, it'll last for weeks unless you're using it heavily all day long or something. So with the amount of use most people get out of their knives, they don't need to be sharpened very often. So that burr is coming along. This unfortunately was the part of the blade that I wasn't as close with the file. So it's kind of compounding that, where it wasn't quite as close, and it's at the back here. Alright, we've got it sharpened up with the coarse side now. You know, it took 10 minutes or something. I'm going to flip it over to the fine side, touch it up, should be able to get it like razor sharp. So now we're looking for burr again, but it's a really slight burr. It's like a little micro burr. All right, last step, once we get it pretty sharp with the fine, is I like to tilt it up, you know, up maybe a 45-degree angle, and just really, really gently drag it across the stone both ways. And this gets rid of that micro burr and just gives it that last little bit. Pretty sharp. Cool, so got it all sharpened up, and I'm really happy with this knife overall. I hope you guys have enjoyed the course, and I hope you get the chance to go out and tinker around and start making your own knives. It's a really, really cool thing to do, and just feels completely different when you're using tools and knives that you've made, and especially when you get really good at it, and also save you a little bit of money, because I generally don't buy knives. You know, in the last 5 or 6 years, I haven't really bought any knives because I like making my own. So for more classes, visit back to this page, and I welcome your comments. Also, if you guys have any other ideas on classes that you're interested in seeing, please let us know, and we'll do our best. Thanks. I just kind of fooled around with this a little bit this morning. Usually I put wood handles on my knives, but I fooled around with it a little bit and came up with a cool design that I thought was neat. I actually came up with a couple different ways, but I'm just going to show you the way that I'm going to do it today, and you can do whatever you want on your own.